seated.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts everywhere, on Facebook Live in San Antonio, and now Houston, Texas. If you're listening live on Facebook in Houston, Texas, post a comment. Let me know what you think of the show. Or if you're listening on the radio, jump on over to the Facebook page and check that out as well. Next week, we'll be dropping some YouTube videos that breaks up the show into different segments so you can watch or listen while you're cooking tacos, while you're walking the dog, or while you're doing the dishes. Today, we're talking about foster children, divorce, child custody, and parental alienation. We'll all define those things for you if you haven't gone through those things yourself already. Judge, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We want to hear your perspective on things, but I know since you're actually an acting sitting judge right now, there's probably some things that you're not allowed to give an opinion about. Can you discuss that for a moment?
I sure can. So I can't prejudge anything. I can't give predictions on how I would rule or not rule. And I can't necessarily lobby a position one way or the other. That's not what I can do. But I can educate and I can inform the public. I can make sure that our judiciary isn't a mystery. I can make people comfortable and have confidence in our courthouse and our justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I do.
Yeah.
I like to educate. I like to explain. I like to welcome people and remind people that the courthouse is their place for dispute resolution. It belongs to them. The justice system isn't something that's on a shelf put away, that's only brought out, with the good china.
Right.
It is an everyday use institution by the public. It is probably, of the three branches of government, it is the branch of government that people will interact with most often and most frequently during the course of their life. And it's theirs.
Yeah.
And for everyone.
And for everyone.
People I meet do everything they can to avoid the judicial system, the courts, lawyers. I have some people I meet with for initial consultations. It seems like their mission in life is to avoid paying attorneys' fees because somehow they've done something wrong if they have to pay an attorney to do something. But I don't want to bear down on that too much. I want to ask you, Shannon, how do foster kids end up in foster care? How do kids end up in a situation where they're not at home?
Well, it's supposed to be a last resort, as you can imagine. That's a pretty serious step to remove a child from a home. There is going to be some kind of abuse, obviously, that's allegedly happening. And so the state has a lot of power, very, very strong power has been given by statutes. And, local law enforcement and this, the Department of Protective and Regulatory Services, they can come in and they have the power to physically remove children from a home. Of course, they have to present information to a judge that would cause a judge to sign an order like that. And then there's a termination case that lasts a year, and the state is in charge of providing services to the families to try and, rehabilitate would be the word we could use. If the family is not able to get, in line with the services and complete all the services to where caseworkers, judges, everybody involved is convinced that the children are going to be safe, then those kids will be forever terminated from those biological parents. So that those are petitions for termination, and an order for termination says you are no longer the parent of this child. So it's a really radical strong power that the state has, but as I'm sure you can imagine, there's a need for it. There are children that are in danger, and you're really saving lives sometimes by removing children from certain homes.
Well, let me share an experience I had, Judge, and then I'll ask for your perspective. I don't know why but they always appointed me as the attorney for the unknown father or the actual father. And a lot of the allegations were that somebody in the household abused a child, or that there was just domestic violence between the parents, and that put the children in danger.
Right. That's a common scenario.
Or they were being neglected somehow. Or there was drug use, and somebody outside the family reported them to Child Protective Services. And so all of that stuff happens before a judge like you gets involved, right?
That's right. And so the way it's set up in Bexar County is that we've got 3 associate judges who do the majority of presiding over the child welfare litigation. So the affidavits that are going to support the petition or the removal order, the 262, that initial hearing that's going to be set, some of the placement, the 60-day, the placement hearings, all of that typically takes place in front of our associate judges. But yes, there's a lot of work that gets done before the case is even brought to the district attorney's office, because in Bexar County, our district attorney has a division that are the prosecuting attorneys for these petitions. And so a lot of work is done in the field by the CPS caseworker. The affidavits are prepared, the evidence is gathered, and then it's taken to the DA's office, and they do a review, and they determine, especially given the law change, if this is going to pass evidentiary muster. And if they decide that it does, then they're going to draft the petition, attach the affidavit, and then seek relief from the judge, from the court. And again, that initial review is going to be done by our associate judges.
So this is you're a judge of a civil court.
Civil district court, yes.
But the DA's office is involved.
Well, the DA, and this is a good opportunity for education, right? Our district attorney's office here in Bexar County, they do have a lot of civil functions. They are the prosecuting attorneys in our protective order litigation, the great majority of it. They do some appellate civil support and litigation for our Bexar County offices. We've got a very diverse group of district attorneys, assistant district attorneys here in Bexar County that is beyond just the criminal courts.
Mm-hmm. But could they also be prosecuted for a crime, Shannon? The parents?
Absolutely. And it was, I don't want to use the word common, but it wasn't odd that it would be, you'd have the civil litigation going on, which is the termination petition. And then you'd also have a criminal case pending at the same time. So they'd have to be in this horrible position where they'd choose, do I give my testimony or do I plead the fifth? This might affect my criminal case.
Oh, right.
So, most people had an appointed lawyer. Most people were indigent, and so they would have court-appointed lawyers that would have to make that decision.
I feel like back in the olden days, whenever that was, I mean, it depends on how old you are to define what the olden days were. But like I was saying before, I didn't really hear about people's family problems. And I think part of that was that the parents could do whatever they wanted. Like there was no oversight over parenting until recent history.
I think we've seen a shift.
I mean, like, just take spanking for an example. Mm-hmm. I was spanked at home. I was spanked at school. I mean, everybody could
I've
spank
been spanked
me.
at school. Yeah, they would have a wooden paddle on the wall. Yeah, it seems bizarre to say that out loud now, doesn't it?
It does, and I think part of that is part of the shift, right, is with education, right? And I think, like most things, when you know better, do better, right? And with all of the evidence-based research that's out there, both in the field of psychology and, I don't know, maybe even sociology and child development, like we have an appreciation of
Let's
just
not be caveman-ology.
well, I'm just saying we have an appreciation of just how damaging corporal punishment can be, especially in the excess, right?
Well,
Violence
that's
begets
when
violence,
it
right?
turns into abuse at some point.
Yes, and I think, I don't know.
But that was a really
the-
good point. Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes the
forgot
good old
that
days
world
were not
existed.
that good. Sometimes the good old days are only good to the people that were in power back in the good old days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've read a statistic that said that Bexar County has a disproportionate number of foster children, foster cases than the rest of the state of Texas. Is there a reason for that, or what can be done? Do you have any thoughts on that, Judge?
I haven't heard that or seen the context of that, but I'm not surprised. I think we do, community-wise, need to do a better job taking care of our children. I always think that there's more to do in order to show all of our children that they're loved, that they're cared for, that they're valued, right? Not just in the womb, but valued as human beings when they're here. I think we can take a look at what resources we give our schools, what resources we give our children, even just food, right? Like, why is it a debate that we don't have enough food for our children? Not just during the school year, but even during the summer. So
Right.
I think community-wise, we can definitely do better about taking care of our children. Now, for children that are in the foster care system, right, we definitely need to do better taking care of those children because we have a legal obligation to them. And I think that's part of the education that I'd like to impart is that when children become foster, when the state of Texas is appointed as the temporary or permanent managing conservator of those children, that appointment comes from the court. That appointment is from a judge's signature, and the legislature has required our judges, our courts, to always act in the best interest of our children. That is the law. And for me personally, because I am a woman of faith, I also believe that it's a moral obligation to take care of our foster children. So our foster children especially should be taken care of and shown that they're loved all the time.
I'm going to ask a difficult question here, but what I've noticed in the past 2 years or so is in the news with the political climate, there's been a lot of back and forth between the institutional bureaucracy. I'm going to use some conservative words, okay? And people that sort of push back against that and try to make changes. How is that affecting what we would call foster care and foster children today?
I think to the extent that there's any kind of political issues at play, it distracts everyone from keeping their eyes on the children and loving the children. And so our children become almost collateral damage to the political fights that are happening in Austin and nationally, honestly. And it's no secret that the state of Texas has been a defendant, a respondent in 15-year federal litigation because the allegation is that our foster children have been denied of constitutional rights because they haven't been taken care of. That's very simplistic summation of what's going on. And it's been going on so long because there is a judge that has found that those allegations are valid.
Right.
So I think we've got a lot to do to make sure that we keep our eyes on our foster children and take care of them.
Amen.
Good point. Amen.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the sinners and saints and divorce and child custody and parental alienation. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.